only way that you can learn the accounting standard successfully is by applying them. Within yourself, you should never restrict to what you apply. You need to think beyond the next step, right? So meaning that's your self-learning and research. The real value add of an accountant is not to pass a double entry, debiting an account and crediting an account. So your real value comes in value creation by enabling the organizations to take decisions.
Welcome back to another episode of Inside the C-Suite by Infinity Think Tank. This is an episode or series of episodes where we go beyond titles, exploring the real journey from ambition to leadership, and where we get to see behind the scenes access of individuals that have not only walked the talk but have reshaped the future ahead. And today during this program we will also get to explore the diamond of energy that shaped our experts, where we look at how they gained inspiration, how they acquired knowledge and skills, and how they use that and apply those skills within their workplace to finally transform and evolve their mindset to bring their identity that they have formed today. And to do so, to speak to us, today's guest is none other than Mr. Rajith Perera, who is a leading financial services risk management specialist and a partner at Ernst Young Sri Lanka. With over 15 years of experience at Ernst Young Sri Lanka, he has served as the lead accounting and risk management expert for the IMF and ADB's asset quality review in Sri Lanka and Bangladesh, and he has played a pivotal role in shaping the national financial reforms as a key resource member on the Financial Services Task Force appointed by CA Sri Lanka to support the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka Bankers Association, and the Employees Provident Fund on implications relating to the debt restructuring process. He has also led as the banking sector specialist appointed by the ADB to roll out Sri Lanka's landmark Banking Special Provision Act number 17 of 2023 for Sri Lanka. He also currently holds the role of Senior Financial Sector Specialist for ADB across Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and Bhutan. With global experience, Mr. Perera is also an IFRS accredited trainer for Ernst Young, carrying out extensive training programs to financial services sectors as a resource person to many institutions, including CA Sri Lanka, Center for Banking Studies, Sri Lanka Banks Association, and other similar professional bodies as well. Mr. Perera is also a fellow member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka and currently holds the positions of Chairman of the Accounting Standards Committee of CA Sri Lanka and the Chairman of the Accounting Standards Implementation and Interpretation Committee of CA Sri Lanka. It is an absolute honor to warmly welcome Mr. Rajith Perera. Hello to you, sir, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Dharmendra, and thank you, Infinity Think Tank, for having me on your episodes. It's a pleasure joining your sessions as well.
We are absolutely thrilled to have you here, Mr. Perera. Let's speak a little bit about the diamond of energy. We want to know about the inspiration, the application, the acquisition, and also the transformation. Let's start with the inspiration, because being a specialist in financial risk management and IFRS, can you take us through what actually inspired you to select this area of expertise?
Well, I think in first and foremost, I never wanted to be an accountant in first place, because in my childhood dreams, if you looked at what I wanted to be, accountant was never there. So let's not go there into detail. But then, yes, then I became an accountant, chartered accountant, and then I started loving what I'm doing. So on a regular basis, in terms of work, I handle actually 3 cross sections of work, which is accounting standards, implementation and advice, which comes under IFRS, and then you have financial services risk management, and then you have anti-money laundering, CFT, which is more compliance oriented related work. So there are three cross sections of work that I handle. So why I started liking this, like I said, my childhood dream was to do a more of a dynamic job. So
Okay.
accountant, well, at that time I was thinking it was a very boring, very monotonous, very serious type of a role, right? So therefore I never dreamt of becoming one, but like I said, I became one. Then I thought, how can I make it more interesting and more challenging, and how can I make it more dynamic that I can really start loving what I do? So there comes the opportunity. Well, I'm not too sure whether it's a coincidence that the year 2012, Sri Lanka had a milestone transition where we converged with international financial reporting standards. So we had Sri Lanka accounting standards at that time, but they were benchmarked with an older version of IFRS. So in 2012, we transitioned into the current version of IFRS. We converged with IFRS. So at that time, happened to be the time that I joined with Ernst Young, Sri Lanka, and I was recruited to this department, which was purposely built to advise the clients in terms of this particular transition process. So doing the work in terms of accounting standards, and I realized there's a lot of challenge in terms of what I do, because I get to deal with various cross sections of industries, different companies, different corporates, not the same problem, there are different problems, and I work in a team where we don't know the type of work that we are engaged with. So when we walk into the office in the morning, we don't know what type of work we will get, because sometimes clients do call and say, look here, I want to structure an instrument, I want to value an instrument. So there's quite a lot of challenge, because we also don't know what is coming ahead of us, but definitely there is variety of work which kept on pushing me to do constant research, because sometimes it's not quite easy and straightforward. We need to do constant research. We need to upskill ourselves, which we'll definitely speak about later. So then I started really liking what I do in office, because there is a requirement that I had to provide solutions. I think skeptical thinking forced me, you need to provide solutions to client problems, because they can't solve their problems in terms of sometimes applying complex accounting treatment. Honestly, that is what I started liking about accounting standards implementation, which is the IFRS piece. So then comes the financial services risk. Actually, initially we were only targeting in terms of accounting standards implementation, but then thereafter, especially with the introduction of IFRS 9 accounting standard, there was a huge opportunity in the market to develop the risk management structure and the framework, especially aligning financial reporting with the risk. I think IFRS 9 in one of the standards, accounting standards, specifically aligns your risk management principles with the financial reporting. So then naturally I saw the opportunity to improve the risk management services, risk management framework. Again, the problem solving thinking that I generally start liking. So which led to move into a little broader scope, which is risk management. And then after some time, again, we had the opportunity to widen our services relating compliance related services, which is anti-money laundering, countering financing of terrorism. So we have now 3 different breadth of services around the same area.
Wow, that's wonderful. And also, Mr. Perera, because you mentioned that there were three different areas that you are now focusing on, were there certain career experiences or mentors that led you to continue in the field, though?
Yeah, so when I joined Ernst Young, I didn't have proper accounting knowledge, proper accounting experience. So, like most of us, I just joined in as a very fresh graduate who's just joining an audit firm. So, at that time, of course, yes, there was a lot of guidance and role model, and my mentor, if I say, it was Mr. Manil Jayasinghe. To date, I look up to him. He has guided me in many instances and has been a major influence in my life in forming my professional career to what I am today. My greatest inspiration had been Mr. Manil Jayasinghe, who was a former country managing partner at EY and also one of our past presidents at the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka.
Lovely. Okay. And since you mentioned about upskilling before, let's speak a little bit about acquiring the necessary skills, because there are certain skills and knowledge that you would need to acquire in order to follow these specific paths as well. Could you take us through what exactly that knowledge and skills that you were required to acquire in order to be in this position?
Yeah. So I think the biggest, if I cut across two major areas of services, which is accounting standards as well as risk management, the biggest skill set which actually changed how I look at things and how I evaluate client concerns is data. In terms of data analytics, data modeling, because at the time that we did our studies, when we completed our professional qualifications, data analytics, data modeling was not a major part of the curriculum. But post 2012, if my memory serves right, so data analytics, data modeling became a huge area in terms of accounting standards as well. So if you look at the accounting standards that are there today, IFRS 9, IFRS 2, and there are so many other accounting standards, IAS 19, which requires you to have fair bit of understanding about basic modeling of data, which requires you to put data together meaningfully, construct models for decision making. So for example, if you look at your simple bad and doubtful debt provisioning calculations, right, it requires data to be arranged in a meaningful manner and model it in such a way that you achieve certain results. Even risk management. So there are so many risks that are faced by organizations, especially financial services sector. Your credit is becoming the biggest, because if you look at any bank, your largest asset is a loan book, which inherently is exposed to the credit risk. So it requires you to analyze your data meaningfully and come up with critical KPIs for the portfolios to understand what is the overall credit risk, for example, right? So coming back to the question where I was explaining how the skill set can be applied, definitely I have seen and I have witnessed firsthand your data analytics, data modeling is quite critical to define the role of a comprehensive accountant. So I must say data played a pivotal role. So I invested my time in research. I had to do a lot of work on my own trial and error basis. Then I had the opportunity also to work with EY Singapore during my 15-year stint at EY Sri Lanka, which actually paved me the way to re-skill myself, and I understood analyzing and modeling is going to be the future in terms of a successful accountant. That's one. And the next is, which I believe more soft skill aspect, is how do we inspire the team members, our PR skills, ability to work within a team environment. Because see, if you look at most of the technical things now, if you look at the new curriculum of our CA Sri Lanka, it inbuilds all technical capabilities as well as soft skills that are required from a future chartered accountant. So meaning it requires you to really invest your time not only in technical but also in other aspects. So another important aspect which helped in my career is the ability to work in a team environment, work and inspire younger generations so that they were motivated to work and contribute to a common objective. So those were commonly quite helpful for me in terms of set of skills.
Okay, and I'm just going to catch on to something that you mentioned about how you did your own research in some way or another. And because there are a lot of aspiring specialists in financial risk management or IFRS, for such younger professionals, is there a certain specific learning pathway or experience that you would recommend? Because you mentioned that you took a certain pathway, but is there a certain pathway that you would recommend for such aspiring specialists?
Yeah, so because accounting standards, financial risk management and financial crime, those are three completely different areas which I handle currently. But if I take accounting standards, for example, only way that you can learn the accounting standard successfully is by applying them, right? So if you want to gain that set of skills as to how I need to acquire all of those capabilities, you need to work in an environment which gives you the exposure to apply the accounting standard, right? That's number one. Okay. Number two, sometimes you might not find a place where you can apply all aspects of the accounting standard, because accounting standard is a generic document which is put out to apply on certain areas for all industries and sectors. So one company, you may not be able to apply all the requirements, all the areas of accounting standards, because sometimes it may not be relevant. So then, as an accountant or as a person who's working towards that objective, within yourself, you should never restrict to what you apply. You need to think beyond the next step, right? So meaning that's your self-learning and research. What I have realized is, from my past experience, most of the time, the research, the self-thinking process and problem-solving capability and problem-solving ability help me to find solutions for most of the complex accounting transactions. So the younger generation, I think you will not find one place to get all these exposure. So these are three different areas. So you need to identify where your skill set required to be, and then work in an environment which allows you to apply the standard at least to the greater extent, and then the rest we will have to work on research and start improving.
Yeah, and speaking of research, because now compared to some time back, the technology world, the technological world is rapidly evolving, and research is very possible and can be taken in multiple ways as well. So in the world of a digital world, do you think digitalization actually helps yet in staying relevant for and up to date on IFRS and financial risk management relevant information?
Of course, I am a firm believer that technology is a great enabler, if you look at it from our profession's point of view, because most of the people sometimes can have a fear that technology can take over the role of the accountant? Well, it will take over the certain aspects of the accountant, which is routine, which is monotonous, which does not require human intelligence to come in, like data processing, mimicking just static transaction level areas. But if you look at from the real value add of an accountant is not to pass a double entry debiting an account and crediting an account. So your real value comes in value creation by enabling the organizations to take decisions, right? So you're a strategic partner, right? So that piece technology cannot take over, right? So it'll from what I feel is technology will enable you to have a better quality of life, where you can just carve out the common routine tasks and focus on more value adding areas such as decision making, analyzing data, and then help the organizations to take better decisions. So technology definitely will enable that.
Yes, and okay, let's speak a little bit about how you converted the technical knowledge into the learning pathway or the professional career that you have progressed into. I know you mentioned this a little bit before, but would you be able to elaborate more on how that technical knowledge was converted within the professional aspect as well?
Yeah, so the mostly it's the opportunity that that we have got to work within the organization. For example, the textbook learnings that we have had while pursuing our studies, and other mechanisms of acquiring technical knowledge, like for example reading an accounting standard, etc. Only way that you can improve or apply is by practically doing and executing a particular work at for me at EY. Okay. Right? So basically, so when my clients do call, they want solutions as to how to account for a transaction. So that's where we start thinking, analyzing, comparing with the requirements of the accounting standard, and then okay, how do I one, provide a solution to the client which is consistent with the requirements of the standard, but also at the same time making the accounting framework intact, policies intact, without making a significant change into the overall process to provide a value addition to the client. So Dumindra, the only way that you can do it is by applying the standard in real life. Sometimes what I have think is what I have thought in these lines. Those days you have to work in the organization, you have to receive those requests and understand, study, and then provide solutions, because we have limited technology. But if you ask me the question, can we do the same piece of work with all the digital and AI channels that we have? Answer for that is yes. Okay. Right? How many simulations can you do with AI? Generate complex client environments, like for example, for an accounting student, right? You can get a prompt AI to give complex, let's say, financial instrument valuation scenarios, and then start your mind to think as to how to resolve it. And then sometimes then you can get guidance from the technology itself. So what I'm now trying to get at is there is more opportunity to groom the present day professionals with the support of technology, apart from you being working in an organization, because not everyone works in audit firms, not everyone deals with complex technical accounting issues. Sometimes you may be an accountant working in an organization. So if you are an accountant working in an organization, sometimes complex technical accounting may be only 20-30% of your daily role. Balance is mainly managing operations. So then how a person like that can enhance their technical capabilities? Because does it mean that they'll have to quit and start working in a more technical role? No, it's not that. Because technology is a great enabler, right? You can use technology to even for learn accounting standards. If you run with AI a prompt asking, guide me in terms of valuing a treasury bill or a treasury bond, they will give step-by-step process. And you can improve learning by asking more and more questions, which we never had.
Yeah.
So we learned it the hard way, meaning you had to work in an environment you need. So there's a lot of opportunities, I think, from today's professional point of view to learn most of these areas in a more efficient and effective manner.
Okay, and Mr. Perera, I'm just going to ask you a little bit more because you mentioned about how technology really helps. With the use of technology and your understanding of risk, let's speak a little bit about that aspect. How has your understanding of risk incorporated with technology helped you in making decisions in today's business world and to actually approach innovation? What's your take on that?
Yeah, so I think both technology and risk have pushed me to achieve that, because if you really look at it, on one side, the risks that our organizations face, credit risk, liquidity, market, operational, technology itself is a risk. It's one of the biggest risks that our financial services sector will have to encounter, because as you understand that most of the financial services entities now channel towards the technology, fintech driven transactions, as opposed to traditional brick and mortar types of transactions. So most of the transactions are now done using a mobile application. I don't go to the bank to do a fund transfer anymore. So meaning technology is a great enabler, but also it brings along significant risks to organizations as well. So in the same way, the risk management as well, there was a need that our financial services landscape will have to constantly improve the risk management approach. Then the technology came in as an enabler, which again became a risk also, which you need to manage, which helps us to identify opportunities that we get to work with our clients. So for example, we help clients to manage their credit risk. We develop solutions to understand how to control their credit risk, what are their risk appetite levels. There's lots of innovation that has come through within that process. Because the problem, actually if you really look at it, Dhumendra, it's always the problem which gives you the opportunity to do the innovation.
Yeah.
So it's a ever evolving process. So in my view, the risk and technology both has given me enough opportunities to do innovation, especially in providing solutions to our clients in managing their critical risks.
Wonderful. And let's speak a little bit about the transformation as well, because you have a lot of exposure in IFRS and financial services risk management. How has that area of expertise and exposure helped you reshape your identity to become a global accounting leader?
Yeah, so from my point of view, how it has created value to me as a professional is basically, again, my thinking and ability to find solutions.
Okay.
In my view, right? So it has greatly helped me because who I am today, because of the two areas and the problems the two areas are having. Okay. If you look at accounting standards, the complexities, challenges the clients do face, and also from a risk management point of view, how we can manage risk more innovatively, right? So those two have become the pillar of my career, and the how I have got to my success in terms of a professional is by always trying to see how best we can find solutions to a given problem that is on one side, and on the other side, constant improvement, constant development, which is for me as a professional, I feel every day there needs to be an improvement. So you might find a solution to a problem that you have in hand today, but it may not be the final destination. So for example, if you look at risk management, you probably have risk management models today that the banks are using. But that's not it. It can't be static. It has to be a dynamic environment. You need to constantly invest time to improve, recalibrate some of these risks management models, and then constantly work on improvement. So the second part is that my mind that works on a way that you need to constantly improve after finding a solution, that also have helped immensely for me to get to my level of recognition today.
Yes, and speaking of recognition, because you are a partner of one of the big 3 firms in Sri Lanka and also an accredited trainer, along with while also being involved in many national reforms as well. Let's speak a little bit about how when you get to guide others, how has your journey influenced your role as an educator and to be a mentor in the profession?
Yeah, so Dumitra, my journey, if you really reflect, it's a function of the level of experience, the level of exposure that I have had in terms of working with various parties, right, including multilateral agencies, working across various cross sections of the country, industry, as well as multiple regional countries that I have had the exposure of working. So this gave me level of knowledge and exposure on my subject matter, be it accounting standards application, be it overall risk management. So this has influenced me quite a lot. So that knowledge and exposure that I have when I work with my teams and younger generations, I always reflect on my learning path, because like I said, I started off just like anyone else as a fresher when I stepped in to Ernst Young, and then every opportunity that I got to learn within the firm has given me quite a lot of maturity, which I do really appreciate, and I share openly with that. And in fact, just to share, I think I have openly shared this fact with most of the forums, is that I'm not selected to Ernst Young in first instance, right? I failed to get into Ernst Young, but however, I was fortunate enough. My next interview, my evaluators were considerate. We will give him the opportunity to learn, and that's how I grabbed the opportunity. And I just as a fresher, I walked in. Which is applicable to everybody. So it's what I am trying to get at is what I always tell the younger generation: every opportunity is a learning for you. So like I said, Mr. Manil Jaisingh was my greatest mentor, that who influenced my career. For me, even the time that we travel from office to a client place to attend a meeting, the discussions, just conversations you have, also have guided me and influenced me to learn. So it's opportunity is there everywhere, right? It's how you want to grab the opportunity and how you want to invest your time is what is going to make a difference. So my path, my learnings, my exposure, I always share with my younger generation, with my younger professionals, which will help them to grow their careers.
Speaking about grabbing opportunities, because during the journey there would have been a lot of challenges, like you mentioned one now. Speaking of challenges and grabbing opportunities, were there any instances or experiences that led you to evolve personally and professionally when talking about challenges?
Yeah, so I think I shared slightly earlier as well. Biggest change that I ever did, and I really reflect back that I see, is the time and skill set that I have invested in terms of data analytics and data modeling. I think that was a bigger learning curve that I have had, which actually helped me to perform the job role that I'm doing today, accounting and risk management, in both the roles. So it's important that we identify the areas that are important, that can help us to successfully perform our tasks. That's very important. We need to identify those capabilities. Number two is whether you're personally someone who appreciates it, because you cannot go through this learning process, because it's a constant learning process, investment of time. Even sometimes when I'm driving, I'm thinking of certain problems that you need to find solutions. If you ask me, sometimes you may be thinking about them right throughout the day. Not everybody likes it. So you need to identify whether you're someone who appreciates and enjoys it. Because if you don't enjoy it and appreciate it, then definitely you cannot do something just because there's a huge demand out there in the market. So you yourself should start liking it. I think being passionate about your profession, being passionate about your job that you're doing, is one of the key ingredients that you need to have to be successful, apart from other skills that I have acquired. On a constant basis, I benchmark. I understand for me to operate effectively and deliver to my clients, what are the other skills that I need to acquire. So I try to invest my time as much as possible on those areas.
All right, so starting off with our first rapid fire question. Our first question is, what's the most underrated skill that every financial professional should develop?
I would say ability to express, the storytelling ability, in other words, and being able to convince someone else.
Okay, lovely. Our next question is, risk, avoid it, manage it, or embrace it?
Manage it.
Okay. Next question is, being a specialist in risk management, has it changed your leadership style, and if yes, how?
It has, by looking at worst possible scenarios and trying to manage it. Sometimes I might take decisions based on those leeways that you have in terms of what could go wrong.
Okay, wonderful. Our next question is, what's one habit that keeps you focused in a constantly evolving financial world?
Reading and keeping up to date knowledge about the changes.
Okay, and our final question is, what's the biggest opportunity for IFRS professionals in terms of digitalization?
So the opportunity is that you're being able to spend time effectively analyzing the data to make decisions, because your routine part of the process is being now taken over by the digitalization. It's more now interpreting, analyzing data in a meaningful manner to take effective decisions.
Okay, wonderful. Well, that concludes our rapid fire round as well. Thank you very much, Mr. Perera, for joining us with Infinity Think Tank and for inspiring many of our younger professionals as well. Thank you very much. It's been an absolute honor.
Thanks, Dumindra, and thank you very much, Infinity Think Tank, for having me on your sessions today. It's an absolute pleasure joining you in the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, and that was Mr. Rajith Perera. He has inspired us today and given us a lot of insight into how his journey has become and has led him to be a specialist in financial risk management and IFRS. And of course, to our listeners, I hope you were inspired by Mr. Rajith Perera's journey and are able to nurture your capabilities differently, deliberately, and are able to convert them into practical actions. Stay bold, stay purposeful. This is Inside the C-Suite with Infinity Think Tank.